Good morning. It's
Hello,
Debbie.
Debbie.
Good morning. It's Debbie Lano here. I'm an inner peace coach and founder of Luma Life Wellness and Coaching and creator of the Ageless Woman Facebook page. Joining me today is my friend Rhonda Arledge. Good morning, Rhonda.
Good morning.
Thank you for being willing to do this while you're on a vacation with your family.
A little cousins retreat. That's what we call it.
That's so cool. So what Rhonda's going to do is share with us how she found her voice. And she has a really interesting story laced with courage and bravery and some risk. And I would love for her to share her story with you. I think that it could really empower you. That's one of the things that Rhonda loves to do. She loves to encourage other people and really find their brilliance and help them along their way, just like people came into her life to help her. So, why don't we just start with you sharing your story and let us know, where did you draw your line in the sand to change the whole course of your life and bring you where you are today?
Well, I didn't learn things very easy, Deb. I was probably a tough child to raise. So I was one of seven and grew up in rural Nebraska. So spent 7 years working on a ranch. So I learned some good work ethic right away in life, which I thank my dad for every day. It's probably one of the best gifts he gave me was sending me out to the hayfield when I was 14. And then, I knew I didn't want to stay in that life. Like I wanted more. Our family didn't have a lot. We always had a lot of love, but we didn't have much security. And so I always I wasn't willing to settle. I wanted more and I was willing to do what it took to get more. But I went down the road kind of tough. Like I quit school when I was 16 and, which was nobody was a fan of that, right? My family had a fit, but my folks were getting divorced and I just wasn't willing to go live with either one of them. So I took my little green Vega and moved out on my own.
Wow, that was brave at 16.
Well, I don't know if that was brave or stupid, but it was what it was.
Yeah, but, wow.
And then I got some hard knocks. I worked at this gas station all night by myself, which was super dangerous and not a good thing. And I got robbed. And fortunately, I didn't get hurt, but it woke me up. I was 18 at that point, and I knew I was going to be stuck in a job like that if I didn't get my education. So at that point, I, was working minimum wage, lived in an attic apartment in somebody's house. So I had a friend who I had worked for her on the ranch at that point for 4 years. And she said, come back and go to school. You finish your high school and you can work on the ranch in the weekends and the evenings. And I'll send you back to school and I'll pay for your first semester of college.
Wow.
What a gift. I can't, it was the best gift except my last son that I ever got. So that really started propelling me forward. And then it took me 20 years to finish my degree. But
how
I got
awesome.
it when I was 40 and I paid off my last student loan when I was 48.
Wow. But how awesome. I mean, just knowing that somebody can walk into your life as a young person and just really just set your course and make such a difference in your life, which that woman did. Wow. What a blessing.
I had several, Debbie, that and they were all people I worked for. So I was in an abusive marriage, a very abusive marriage. I mean, to the point of almost losing my life. And through the course of that, the blessing that came out of that is we were court ordered to counseling. I went back to him, which was not, a good thing, but we ended up in counseling. And through that, I worked at this place called the Hudson Center in Omaha, Nebraska. It was a Christian counseling center. And they took me under their wing and I had great mentors. Bill O'Hanlon and Pat Hudson just believed in me and we grew their center. And that was really my first kind of big girl job. I got to work in an office and my organizational skills and that kind of shined through. And they were just so good to me for many, many years. I worked for them, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, like quite a while. And then going to school, raising the boys, getting married, getting divorced, like they saw me through it all. And that was a blessing. But it was, it was through that really bad time of the stabbing that led me to that. So
That
sometimes those
is,
really tough times lead
wow.
us into lead us to the blessings.
Yes. I think that it's, when I think about that part of your story, I'm like, wow, how did you do that? I mean, nearly losing your life, having two small children in tow, and then having the guts and the courage to say, well, then again, of course, the incident was big, it was huge. And at that point, you're not only fearing for your life, but for the children too. And what guts it took to just say, you know what, that was your line in the sand, maybe. Just say, I'm not living like this.
I hate to admit this, but it really wasn't the line in the sand. I mean,
Oh,
I stayed married to him, and then we did divorce, and then I remarried him and was married to him for 2 more years. Then my line in the sand came, and when that line in the sand came, there was no moving it. And then I was rewarded again with my second husband. Is, oh my God, Will is just the best friend and best mate ever. Like, I am so fortunate. And so again, going through a trialing time, and then, meeting someone that's just like, he's just so fun. He still makes me laugh, and we're going to celebrate our 20th anniversary coming up, and we got to enjoy having a child together. And yeah, so.
I'm always so intrigued at how we make these, we have these opportunities to make really big changes in our life, and how you went from this to like, you completely changed your life with a wonderful husband and a second chance at motherhood, and a career that started to flourish. I'm going to just be quiet so you can tell the rest of your story.
So when we right before we got married, he came home one day and he said, it's like used wife, used kids, used house. I want to move to Ohio. I'm like, what? Because I had, it was moving up in my career in Omaha, and, the boys were 15 and 16, and we uprooted and we moved to Cincinnati and kind of started over. And it was a true kind of the foundation of our marriage, because that's all we had was one another. And we lived in a 3-bedroom apartment on a 3rd floor of a not very nice place, because I rented it over the internet and went sight unseen. But we stuck it out a year, and then we moved into this little ranch house. And then 15 years later, we built a new home, as I was building my career. And I was so fortunate, worked for the largest staffing company in the world and had so many opportunities at Adecco. I'm so thankful for my years there. And I got to travel and got to, just had wonderful customers and wonderful team. I'm still great friends and that with many of the people that I worked with. And so thankful for that. So I was so blessed along the way, but mostly from people that, my bosses always took me under their wing. I was a hard worker and I had great perseverance, and they asked me to do it and I did it. If this was my number for the year or this was the mission I was on, I made sure that we got it done. And that all went back to those days on the ranch. And, you got up early, you got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I would make the crew breakfast and we'd go out and hay all day. And usually we packed a lunch to take with us, and then we'd go back in at night and I'd make them dinner. So it was long days, 6 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good training. You might not have known it at
great training.
Yeah. Oh yeah. At the time, sometimes I don't think we realized what great training we're getting, but in hindsight, we see that it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Debbie, it was the risks I took that really helped me the most. I was willing to step out of the box. I mean, as I look back at my life, would I quit school again? I probably would. It was the best thing for me to do at the time for myself, although it was very hard. So that was the first big risk I took. And then a risk I took, it was after Will and I were married, and I was working for Adecco, and I was a branch manager, just had one little branch for them. And I didn't know how to sell. I had a degree in marketing and management, but I had never sold, and they didn't really have sales training. So I bought myself a Sandler sales course, and it cost $5,000, which was, at that point, it was a lot of money to us. And the person who sold me the course his daughter ended up working for me for many years, but he said, this will pay off for you in spades. That $5,000 paid off over and over and over again. But I had to believe in myself enough to take a risk to make that investment. So we have to invest in ourselves. And sometimes that's hard as mothers and wives and that to look at us and make that investment in ourselves. So that was probably one of the biggest ones I took, and it had the biggest payoff for me, honestly. And I still use those skills I learned in that class today, actually.
You don't strike me as a person that would have difficulty having a voice. I've known you for a couple of years now. You come across very strong and very, very sure of yourself, and with, very little difficulty, speaking your piece. So where was there a pivotal moment in your life that really brought forward your voice and really, because moving out at 16 is like, wow, that was so brave.
I know. I think of my son now, who's about to be 16, my last one, and I'm like, there is no way he is ready to move out.
It's unbelievable.
I'm still telling him to brush his teeth, for goodness sakes.
Sometimes the hard life is really shapes us in ways that we cannot know until we get older.
Yeah. Debbie, I think that the pivotal point for me was when I stopped keeping score with myself and with others. When I just said, I'm only in charge of me, and I'm accountable for me. And yes, I was responsible for my family, and for many years was the main breadwinner in our family. But when I just started accepting opportunities and not having a lot of limiting beliefs, so I call it my scorecard, I just had to throw away that old scorecard and trust that those above me had my best interests at heart, and they did. My God, Lauren Griffin and Joyce Russell. I mean, I had such great mentors within the Deco company and great training. Just Joyce continued to believe in training, and everything that come up, I took advantage of. Any kind of training, whatever book we were reading or whatever training we were going to, I was in it all force, and not judging it, not picking it apart. Because so many times we're offered those things, and then you hear people complaining, well, I would do this or I would do that. Well, that decision's a little harder to make than you think sometimes. I mean, recently we had a change in our church, and I think of all that person is responsible for, and I have a lot of empathy for that, because leadership it's not easy, and we're not really born with those skills. We develop.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Yes, absolutely. You bring up a good point, is to remain teachable and to seek and to take opportunity when it comes your way. That's such a big thing. I mean, I don't think you can really go forward much in life if we think we know it all, or if we think, we don't want to take risks because we want to feel safe. But yeah, that's a great message, Rhonda.
Yeah. Well, and I had to do a lot of forgiving. I mean, it's something I still work on with those troubling times early in my life, and with that first marriage to the same person twice. I mean, it took me a long time to truly be able to forgive him for the things he did to me. But you can't carry that around. You can't keep that on your scorecard, because you can't move forward if you've got that old baggage.
That's so true. That is so true.
And forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for yourself. He doesn't even know I forgive him, and I would prefer he not.
I understand. I understand. Sometimes in there too is forgiveness for ourselves. I also was in a situation a little bit where I had trouble forgiving. Mm-hmm. And much later in life, like more recently, I came to terms with the fact, well, wow, I still keep beating myself up about it. Why did I stay? Why did I not stand up for myself? Why did, I thought, wow, you know what? I could have changed things if I stood up for myself.
Right.
That whole thing would have gone differently maybe if I had stand up and used my voice, but I allowed myself to be dominated, so there was a lot of beating up on my part of myself. So what happened with him was bad enough, and I had to forgive that. But I really wasn't until much later that I realized that I had to forgive myself.
Yeah, we all parted a dance. A dance can't happen unless two people are moving together, right?
That's so true. That is so true. Rhonda created these really beautiful little bookmarkers here. And on here are ways that you can find your voice and just things that really were very helpful to her along the way. And I'd like to read them. And Rhonda, if there's anything on here that you would like to speak more to, I would love that. Seek great mentors, invest in you, take a risk, forgive, ask for feedback, be grateful and share, forgive, journal, celebrate often. I like that one. Stand up for yourself. That's a great one. And enjoy the journey.
I think I'd like to end, Debbie, by talking about enjoying the journey. So I was fortunate enough to marry this man that enjoys every minute of life, whether he's working, sleeping, or playing, eating. He just enjoys life. And I was always going to be happy when the next thing happened, right? When I got the next promotion, or when I got, the next car, or whatever it is I was seeking as my next step, then I was going to be happy. And he taught me to be happy and enjoy the journey. And I did. I enjoyed the journey of, building my career, having this third child together. I mean, my last two children are 20 years apart, and we enjoyed every step of that process, from the conception of him all the way through. And now he's learning to drive, and he'll be getting his driver's license next month. But just stopping back and enjoying every piece of that journey. I wish I would have learned that earlier, because I was still fighting and clawing, probably until my late 30s, early 40s. And then I just began to listen to him, actually. And he was enjoying it. I'm like, well, hell, if he's enjoying it, I might as well join him. And so the last, 10 years of my career, and, I really did just, each day, each step, there's joy in the recovery and the climb, if you love yourself.
I think he gave you permission to have fun.
Yes. Yeah. I was not very fun before.
Yeah,
I sometimes struggle at it. I can be kind of serious.
Well, I think that you had a mission. Like, you had this huge mission, and you really wanted success to be a part of your life, and you worked really hard for it. And so, and now that you're out of the corporate workplace, that's another huge change that came upon you that was just amazing.
Such a blessing. I mean, I thought I would, work and retire from Adecco. It didn't work out that way. And when it wasn't going, when it wasn't going to end the way that I had always thought it would, I took myself out of the picture, and I couldn't be happier. I mean, I have just had an incredible year and a half, kind of just reinventing, rediscovering myself. And it's almost like being on a permanent vacation. It's almost a little too good to be true. And I love helping Will with his business, and, doing the executive recruiting. And, I got more involved in our church and Bible studies. And I just feel so fulfilled and so very blessed.
I love that. And I can see also that you're a woman who just really loves your home and home life. Now that you're there, it has become your castle in a really good way. I see you really enjoying life, and really just feeling so good about yourself and where you are. And that's so cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I like that you've dropped the scorecard, by the way.
Yeah, just, boy, get rid of that thing. Throw that thing away. Don't keep score on yourself, and don't keep score on others.
And don't compare yourself.
Yeah. Well, when we keep score on others, we're keeping score on ourselves too.
Yeah. Rhonda, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience this morning?
I just want to share about gratitudes a little bit. So I have some gratitude buddies that I'm very fortunate to have. So every day, and Debbie's one of those, actually, we share 3 gratitudes, and it's no repeats. So my gratitude buddies are Debbie, and then my 2 first cousins, Kim and Becky, and my sister, Roberta. And so we text our gratitudes every day, 3 things we're thankful for. And you can't repeat. So you really get down to, the smell of the flowers and the birds singing, and maybe that somebody did something nice for you. Like, you really, you can't really have a bad day when you think about all the good things that happen. So every night before we go to bed, we text those gratitudes to one another. And because I'm on a different time zone than the Fab Four, is what we call ourselves, because I'm on a different time zone, I get to wake up typically to theirs. And that's the first thing I do in the morning is go get my phone to look at their gratitude. So I send mine out, but I don't always get their responses because of the time zone difference. But it's, if you could just find three, 2 or 3 buddies to do that with, and it's a great way to stay connected with someone that, that you care about, that doesn't maybe live close and you don't get to see often, but it will really make you look inside yourself. Because sometimes I'm like, it's not been a great day, and like, what do I have to be thankful for? But you can, you'd be amazed at the things that come up in those gratitudes because of that.
Sometimes I have to stretch my mind a little bit to think about, something unique that happened during the day, or something simple that happened during the day. But I never knew that there was that rule. So now I know that you can't repeat.
No,
I didn't know that.
No repeats. Yeah, no repeats.
Okay.
Yeah, because I would put a bubble bath every day, but my cousins won't let me get away with that because we're not supposed to repeat the gratitudes.
Yeah, that's easy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So now I know the rule.
Yeah. So throw the scorecard away, do your gratitudes, and take a risk.
Take a risk. That's a really good one, because I think the fear keeps a lot of people from taking those type of risks.
Yeah.
But
and
if you
risk
do,
is like a muscle that you have to exercise. At first it's just a little risk. You don't have to spend $5,000 and take the Sandler sales course. Just take a small risk. And as you exercise that muscle, it will get stronger and stronger. And then you can get the Sandler sales course. And
so I think that it's also knowing when to say yes and knowing when to say no. So yeah, I think there's great things to come out of both things, both statements: saying yes to an opportunity, taking that risk, saying yes, even though you're afraid. And then no, when then that you can't commit, or that that's not for you, is to know who you are and being able to say yes and no.
I had to say no to a lot of things as I grew my career, because I couldn't continue to take on more responsibility so I didn't really have a big personal life. And in fact, when I retired a year and a half ago, I was like, I don't really have any friends. All my friends were work friends.
Who am I? Outside of work, who am I?
Yeah.
That's my biggest question for women who work. Who are you? Most people right off the bat, they'll say all the things that they are in the workplace. But and if you're there for a long time, I could totally see how you begin to carve out your identity from your work. But it's I'm glad that you found out who you were aside from work.
I am too.
Yeah,
I am too. So is my family.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The more joy in the family now, right?
I am very much so.
That's awesome.
Well, Debbie, thank you for this opportunity.
You're so welcome. Thank you for being willing to still do this on your nice little getaway. So I'll see you when you get back home. Have a safe trip back.
Okay.
And
thank you.
if you get bored on the road, just give me a ring.
Okay, I will. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Bye.